sometimes it's not fighting the dragon that has you stuck. Sometimes it's being like, okay, I'll defeat this dragon and it will be like the most powerful dragon, but I'll have defeated it. But then I actually have to go and rescue the princess. Or I have this treasure now. I'm no longer where I was in my little hovel. And I'm no longer at that point where on the journey before I fought the dragon, but now who am I? What is that fear? Because, in video games and in the fantasy world, I'm really going to go into this metaphor because I really like it. And I love Sleeping Beauty. But I mean, what if Prince Philip had a lot of hang-ups around actually having his true love? What if instead of being all like, yeah, I'm going to have this princess, like the reason he was attracted to Princess Aurora was because she was just a maiden in the forest and she wasn't a princess. And maybe he had hangups about becoming king. I mean, first of all, his father was pretty old. And I mean, in fairy tale terms, like he'd probably be like old enough, like he'd be passing away at some point. He wouldn't be around forever. He was so much older than King Stefan. But the fact is, like, Prince Philip was a crown prince, which means that when his dad dies, he has to inherit the throne. Or maybe it was Prince Charming. Maybe the reason why Kit in the live action version of Cinderella, he had been so terrified, not just of the fact that, like, he'd be like Prince and everything, but like maybe that's why he also kind of fell for the peasant girl, because it's like, oh, if I go with this peasant girl, then I don't have to go to my next level. But then he goes and recognizes that she actually has the qualities of a true princess. And when she cleans up really well. Well, what if that had terrified him? And he'd been like, I don't want this. I don't want to do that. So by going and getting the bride, it would lead to him having to rule because he would no longer be able to stay as his bachelor prince self, going and riding his horse through the forest or whatever. So maybe it's not the dragon. Maybe it's having the treasure, the ultimate treasure, that scares you, and what it says about you and what it will do. And it's like, I have to change my entire identity because I've been in this place. And if I have to face this, I mean, in the terms of birth trauma, one thing I was afraid of was if I have this home birth, then I'm going to know that I can't ever go back to the way things are. So I still kind of sometimes have this fear. If I get pregnant again, what if something comes up where I end up having to go back into that system? And I know that system is horrible and awful. So there's that idea of the success. It's like with the success comes more visibility. With the success of the relationship of actually getting the dream prince or dream princess, now you're in the relationship. Now it's moving to the next level. Now it's no longer just you. And I've had to work through this because it's like, okay, if I go for all of my dreams, well, then I'm at my next level and it might be taken away, or I might lose it, or I might screw up, or something else will come up, or there's going to be more problems. One thing people don't really speak to when they're talking about success, when speaking towards dreams. And I just got off a call with Donald. We do this thing every week. It's Donald Stojak Asks the Question. You can go check it out on YouTube. This is my shameless plug of my soul dad. And like, I don't want this to be the best kept secret. So go check him out. You can just Google it. Or if you really have trouble, reach out and be just like, hey, Carly, where's the link? And I'll give you that. And since we're talking about fear, I did do a talk last year on his channel. So it's up there. And if you want that, just reach out to me and I'll give you the link to that. I might even drop it later. I don't know yet. It's really supposed to be sunny. And I don't know if I want to be on the computer all day. I think I want to go and soak up the sun. I want to soak up the sun. I want to tell everyone to lighten up. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I got that song stuck in my head just a second there. But getting back to the fear of success, when I think about my next level, sometimes it does seem a little scary. It's like, I don't know, because I have no control over when people find my book. I have no control over when people buy my book. I have no control over when people start talking about my book. And my book's out there. It's on Amazon. It exists. Like, it's literally there. But the reason I created my book was because I recognized that people wanted to get on calls with me, and I wanted to make sure that I was working with the right people. And I also wanted to protect my time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, people are starting to hear about me and they're starting to ask these questions, and I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm not going to be able to help everyone. So what did I do? I first created my YouTube channel. Then I created my book at the same time. I'm like, okay, like, people are going to be asking me for the PDF of my book, and it's going to get to a point where I'm having to give this out too much, and I won't be able to handle that. I won't be able to help all those people. So what I'm going to have to do instead is I'm going to have to put my book in a physical copy on Amazon. And then I also thought long term. So this is how I think. I'm giving you the map here of how you can get past your fear of success. Is you recognize, okay, here's the ultimate dream that I want. Now, in the terms of this ultimate dream, there's an underlying unspoken fear of what happens if you have that thing. Like, if we went back with the metaphor of the fighting the dragon, you fight the dragon, you go and rescue Princess Aurora. But now you're the prince who's married a princess, not a peasant girl. So you can't abdicate your throne. Okay? You can't abdicate the throne, and you can't marry this common peasant girl. No, you've got a princess. So you not only have one kingdom now to work with, but it's a political match, because that's what they did. Was literally a political match to join two kingdoms together so that in war times they would have more allies. Like, that was the idea of it in medieval history. If you understand the actual political idea of it, it's like you take two empires and you join them together, and then you have more resources. And it's the same thing with merging companies, or getting a new business partner, or getting a romantic partner. You're taking two families and you're blending them. Sometimes literally taking families and blending them. Maybe, in my case, being a single mom, fact is that my partner who comes in automatically becomes a stepdad. Those kids are going to bond with them. And that is a role that it can be scary, can be intimidating. And I get it. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like, I want a family, I want that. And at the same time, I'm going to have a family, and that's going to be scary, because like, there's a certain point. It's like, oh my gosh, like, this is going to happen if I go in this direction. So you go for that ultimate treasure, but now what? What happens when you have that ultimate treasure? That ultimate treasure could be taken away. Prince Philip goes for the princess, and then she dies. At some point, she will die. Okay? Like, at some point, one of them will die. The only way out of marriage is either divorce or death. So at some point, they will die. Now, it can be super romantic, like in The Notebook, or one partner goes first and the other one is left behind. Now you've had the most extraordinary person that you've ever met in your life. Like, you know, that was the one. That was the true love. There will never be another like them in the world. And now you're without them. That's scary. And like, the same thing is like, I go to the next level in my business. Now I've made it. Now I have the money. Now I have the prestige. But now everybody wants a piece of that. And they can't, like, there's a smaller circle of people who truly understand me. What do I do? Well, I mean, I've created my 5-pillar system basically because of that, because I had fears that stopped me from going for success. Like, no matter how much people would speak to my dreams and tell me how much better it would be to get out of my situation or to go for something, I would have that. It's like, yeah, but if that happens, then this happens, then I have to change my identity. Do you know the secret? Um, the fact is that you're always changing your identity. Now, here's the thing is like you can keep growing and you're going to change. You're going to have things, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have things you need to work through, and you're going to have to step into a new level of yourself. Or you can stay small and you can keep pretending that you are back where you were in the start of your journey and that you are still the person in the hovel. Even if you are now a person who's been a dragon fighter, you'll be like, I'm a dragon fighter. I'm not a king, or I'm a dragon fighter. I'm not a queen. Like, I fight dragons. But what happens when there's no more dragons to fight? Where's your identity now? Are you still a dragon fighter, or are you now the person who has fought all of the dragons that has now inspired others to fight their own dragons? So you need to see that there's always a next level, and you need to create those 5 pillars to create your safety net, which is also not just a safety net, but a trampoline. So I created a trampoline to get past my fears. I have my sword of truth. I have my shield of virtue. I have my fairies. I know what my ultimate treasure is. I'm very clear on what my ultimate treasures are in life and in personal and in professional, all of it. And I also get very clear on what other people's ultimate treasures are because they might be different. And I will stand for that ultimate treasure. I will remind people about their sword of truth and their shield of virtue and the fairies that have enchanted everything. And I will put my own little fairies out there to enchant things for me. And at the same time, even as I know that this is happening and that the dragons are being fought and I am fighting them and I'm working through it, I also know that there's going to be a point I will get that ultimate treasure. And I need to create the safety net around that. So it's all about the right mindset, fighting the fears that come up from that. What happens if overnight, suddenly, I get 300,000 sales of my book? Like, what happens? Well, now I've got a hell of a lot of money that I'm needing to figure out. My living situation is definitely going to change. And I need to learn how to manage the money coming in. Or maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just that my YouTube channel goes viral. So what I do is I create things to catch the overflow, the overwhelm. Catch the overwhelm. In order to be able to move to my next level, I'm constantly looking 10 steps ahead. I'm seeing, okay, so at this stage, I'll need this. And at this stage, I'll need this. And I'm putting those in place preemptively. I knew when I got my first client off of my YouTube videos that people would start being like, this is really good stuff and I need to talk to Carly. And not everybody can be talking to me because I don't have the bandwidth to take on clients all the time, but I still want them to get the help. So then that kind of spurred me on to be like, oh, I need to get my book out now. So when I got my first client off of my YouTube channel, not my first client ever, but my first client that came to me from my YouTube channel that I wasn't expecting, and they just came in actually like last year in June. I was at the beach and all of a sudden I got a ding on my phone that said somebody has booked a call with you. And then they reached out and they said, hey, I saw you had also run a challenge and I want to know more about this. And now I've turned that into a mini course because I decided this challenge is good enough that I could turn it into a mini course that I could also run for free. And it would be like a catch thing for people that actually want to work with me for my email. She went through that. I gave her the PDF version of my book. She went through that. She said, this is a wealth of information and I still want to work with you because I want to learn from you specifically. And she was happy to pay what I told her, what the price was and what we needed. And we negotiated it so that it would work for both of us. And I was happy. She was happy. She got the results. I got to see that, wow, this tactic that I use is even better than I thought. Like, this is like such a huge challenge that came into my lap. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And I know that it's going to be awesome because I'm going to give my all to it. And that's again why I don't work with everyone, because when I do it, I put my all into it. So I put all of my magic into her, and she just was able to flourish, and she found her own magic. She found her own sword of truth, her own shield of virtue, her own fairies. And she and her partner are so happy with that because they were able to stand up to the dragon, and they fought that dragon and they won. Now, that's the thing though, is I recognized I'm going to get more of those, and I don't know when. That's the thing, is that you don't know when it's coming. You know it's coming. You can sniff it out. You can sniff out that success. Now, you can either turn tail and run and say, yeah, if I fight this dragon, I'm going to end up in this success mind. Like, I'm going to be in this, and then I'm going to have more problems because I'm going to have another level to deal with. Now, I'm not just the dragon fighter that the townspeople are cheering for. They want to make me king, and I'm marrying the princess. And now I've got a princess that's like a queen, and I've got to treat her right, and I got to do this, and we're going to have kids. I'm going to have to raise the kids and like all of that. So I recognize that based on the evidence that I already have on where I have been able to climb to and how fast I've been able to do it since getting out of my own way. Be clear on that. Since getting out of my own way, because I spent years being stuck, and people were saying for years, Carly, this information you just gave me is so incredibly valuable and so helpful. This is a service. You need to be charging for this. You need to be speaking on podcasts. You need to have like videos out there. Like, where is your stuff? And I was just sharing other people's stuff. I was sharing things from my dear friend Dawn Thompson. I'm giving a shout out as well to her because she has something for moms that are looking for like specific services in terms of postpartum support and pregnancy support and birth support. And she has a program called Birthify. It's a service. So if you want to learn more about that, go check her out on her channels. I've also shared this through my Empowering Moms Birth platform as well, and you can always reach out to me. She's doing a special Mother's Day special. So there you go, Dawn. If you're watching later, I have not only shared on my business stuff, but I am now sharing on my personal. I love you. I support you full-heartedly. I mean, it's going to take all of us to turn this around. And when we all band together, we can create more, which leads to pillar number 5 in my system, the right support. See, the thing about the fear of success is that it really comes down to pillar number 4 or pillar number 5 and a little bit of pillar number 4. Pillar number 4, of course, is the right facilitators. If you have somebody who is trying to push you in a level for success in a certain area, but it's not really speaking to your true dream, then it doesn't matter how good they are. They're not speaking to your true dream. And they can say, oh, well, you can be king. And it's like, well, maybe I don't want to be king, because they're saying, oh, well, you'll be king and you'll be able to rule over the people and you'll be able to get them to do things for you. It's like, that's not the kind of king I want to be. So I don't want to do that. And then you think, I don't want to be king. But the truth is that what I had been told when I was like, well, you could be successful, you could be famous, you could make a lot of money. I'm like, well, that doesn't really speak to me. That doesn't speak to my heart. But when I was told you can make an impact, that spoke to my heart. It's like, you could make sure that the mom who is so terrified and doesn't know how to do this, like the one that was like you, when you were looking for all of the things and you were going to be willing to buy books and take classes just to be not screwed over out of your birth experience, like you would be more visible. Like, I don't care about the fame. I care about being visible. Why? So they can find the answers that they were looking for. And this again is why I'm giving the shout out to Dawn Thompson, because the reason I'm even here is because when I was back in that horrible, horrible feeling of I did everything right and I still got screwed over out of my natural birth. And why am I not happy? She spoke to me about like the birth trauma. I didn't know what birth trauma was until I saw it in her content and what she was speaking out into the world. And I said, I want to support her in this. So I started sharing all of her stuff. So I know that there is a younger version of me out there right now who is lost and looking for that advice and that support and that hope that things can be better. And they're going to come across my video and they're going to love me for what I'm sharing, because I'm going to speak to those fears and those things that they have been thinking but have been afraid to say. And I'm going to encourage them through my words. And they're going to go and they're going to buy my book. And they're going to go and find out that I have a YouTube channel, and they're going to subscribe. And they're going to love all of my videos, and they're going to like it, and they're going to share it on their own social media. And maybe it won't start out too quickly, or maybe it will blow up. Maybe there'll be lots of those women, the women that are like the ones that I've already helped, who are out there and they don't know where I am yet. Yet being the key word. Because as I said, I have gotten past that fear of success by being like, I want to make the impact. So that means I need to be visible and I need to protect my time. I need to create things in place so that I am not accessible to everyone and my magic is out there. So I created that safety net, and I have the right support too, because in my little circle where I first started, nobody was out on YouTube doing videos and creating content. Nobody was out there speaking their messages. Nobody, except for the people that were like high above me that I wasn't in close connection with, had done this. So for me, it was like, oh, well, these people can do it, but I can't. And it's by creating that right support around you, finding people that have already gotten to that level or believe in you and are doing the work and are actually moving forward, even if they're not exactly where you are. But it's like finding that group of people that are like, yeah, I'm trying to do this too. Yeah, let's all do this together. Let's all work towards this together. Let's all encourage each other. Yeah, I know your family doesn't understand, but now we can be part of your family. We can be part of your swans to be able to do that. So it's not just about getting the knowledge and education and understanding the specs of the dragon or understanding how powerful the princess is or all of the other things that you need to know about how to rule a kingdom. It's about recognizing what your own true dream of that ultimate dream is. Now, it's Sleeping Beauty, and they didn't really have much impact. Like it was so surface level. So we don't know what Princess Aurora had as a dream for her kingdom. I mean, she didn't even know she was a princess. We don't know what Prince Philip might have wanted for the kingdom, that he had seen maybe his father had done things a little backwards and he wanted to move them into the 14th century, where nowadays people like that sort of thing. But in Cinderella, the live action one with Richard Madden and Lily James, like she had basically spoken to that, because Kit said he was an apprentice still learning his trade. And Ella had said, all you need is to have courage and be kind. And by recognizing that they could both collaborate and see where the other one was missing it and be like, okay, now we can build a more established kingdom that's thriving, that everybody is happy and taken care of in this kingdom. And we are beloved. Because the thing is, you need to be beloved. You can't just go and marry a princess and be king and not be beloved. You'll get your head chopped off. So part of it is you get that ultimate treasure, but what are you going to do with it? Are you really unworthy of that ultimate treasure? Do you think that someone else is going to treat that treasure better than you? Truly, if you listen to your heart and you're like, I have the ability, like I have been chosen to have this ultimate treasure, to have this princess and to have this kingdom and to be able to go, or have this prince and have this kingdom and be able to be like ruling this and have my own small kingdom and empire that's going to be able to create that impact. Am I the kind of person who would take that wealth and get greedy with it and not redistribute it? Or am I the kind of person who's going to see that ultimate treasure, take what I need, and distribute it back to the people? Am I the kind of person who is going to use the prestige of my prince or princess to just elevate my status and I don't have to do any work ever again and I can just be pampered? Or am I going to be the kind of person that is going to be able to collaborate with this amazing prince or princess and we're going to be able to rule the kingdom truly in alignment with our shared vision? Because I mean, anybody can marry any princess or prince and you can go and inherit a kingdom. I mean, Prince Hans tried to do that with Anna. How did that work out for him? He's cleaning stables. In fact, like that's one of the little Easter eggs that I love in Frozen is they show Prince Hans is now cleaning stables. So the thing is that when you recognize that, it's like, okay, am I really unworthy of this ultimate treasure? As scary as it might be to have that success, you got to feel worthy of it. You got to recognize it's like, yes, there are going to be more challenges. Yes, I am going to be more visible. Yes, I'm probably going to have more responsibility. At the same time, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's what you do with that power that truly matters. You can have scary ice powers and you can hide in your little ice palace and never venture out. Or you can go and make beautiful ice sculptures and make the rest of the kingdom happy because now they've got the beauty of your power. Yeah, you could technically take all your money and you could probably be really selfish with it and you could buy a whole bunch of things that just make the world worse and make you a really selfish person. You could hoard your money like Scrooge. You could do that. Or you could be Scrooge at the end of A Christmas Carol and be like distributing it. I mean, I plan to be the kind of person that as I get more profits in my books and from my courses and everything else I want to create, I'm going to put it back out there. Like I have a vision. I'm putting it out there. I've even got it on my website. So if you're curious, some of the things I want to do, it's on my start guide, empoweringmomsbirth.com/start guide. Go down to the philosophy and mission statement. It's right in there. What I want to create. Now, for somebody else, maybe that's not their jam. Maybe they don't want to do that. But for me, that is what speaks to my heart. And same with the family, the legacy. Why do I want that? And why does it need to be with the right person? It can't just be with just anyone. Because again, I have that vision. I'm so clear on my ultimate dream that it can't help but come true. And if it doesn't, well, that's because some things are not in my control. Some things aren't in my control. Obviously, my prince has to want to come in. At the same time, he's got his own dragons to fight, and that's okay. And at this, but like you can't get to your next level without others around you. You need to have them propel you up because they will show you your magnificence. They will also remind you of what you're doing. They will keep you on track. They will keep you accountable. They will speak to those fears you might have, but they'll do it in a loving way, not in a way to try to pull you back down into the bucket, but instead being like, hey, I'm noticing you're stalling on this. And, you know, You said you want this, and I know you do, and I can see it in your heart that this is something that calls to you, and you're also afraid. You're afraid what happens if you get it. What happens if you actually get that ultimate dream? So let's speak to that. Let's actually speak to the fear that you have on this so that it's out there. And then we can create the safety net around it. Or maybe we just minimize that fear. We remind you, it's like that dragon, you just throw your sword of truth and it's dead. Yeah. So like you can do this. You can actually do this. No, I know you have hangups about being king because you've seen like how power corrupts people. And at the same time, you've got others around you who are going to hold you accountable, and we're not going to let you be corrupted. We're going to love on you, and we're going to keep you in integrity with yourself. We're going to keep you authentic. We're going to keep you honest. We're going to keep you with like one head in the clouds, but also feet on the ground. We're going to hold you in that space, and we're going to love you into your next level. I mean, I've got so many people around me that I've built up intentionally. I wanted people that had healthy relationships so that I could finally see healthy relationships. I wanted people in my life that had built businesses because I want to do that, and created impacts and created communities because I wanted to do that. And I didn't have it where I was at. Can't get it in your hovel. You have to go on the road when you're off fighting dragons, and you need to band together with other knights who are fighting dragons. Male knights and female knights, like they can be knights. I mean, they had Quest for Camelot is a good example of this. One of the characters, she wanted to be a knight. So, you know, like, and Arya Stark. So women warriors, male warriors, it's all the same. You go with other warriors. But at some point, you're going to have to leave your warriors behind, because out of those warriors, you are destined to be the leader. They're your Knights of the Round Table, and you're King Arthur. You're destined to pull the sword, and you're destined to marry the princess. So recognizing that, then you go and be like, oh, I am the hero. I am the one that at the end of this journey, I'm going to have everything, and I have to go and face my destiny, because somebody else might go and snatch it, or it just never happens. But you're leaving that princess alone to never wake up. We all have kingdoms that we need to go claim. I don't know what your kingdom is, but I know it's beautiful. I don't know who your prince or princess is, but I know that they are waiting for you if you don't already have them. And if you do have them, treasure them, because, you know, true love is something that is just, we're told so often that it doesn't exist. But then when you actually see it, then you know it exists, and you can't go back to unseeing it. It's the same thing in the birth world. Once you've seen an empowered birth, once you've recognized what it can be, you can't go back. You just can't. I mean, I would sooner birth under a tree than go back into that system and have other people dictate what I'm allowed to do. I can't go back in the box. I can't. And once you fought all the dragons, you can't go back to your hovel. It's too small. You're going to go back to being a farmer when you fought dragons? No, you're supposed to go and pull the sword from the stone. You're supposed to marry the princess, and you're supposed to become the king. And you're supposed to be benevolent, because the kingdom is waiting for the king. Where's the king? Well, somebody else might just decide, I'll be the king, and they'll rule that kingdom into the ground. Do you want that? Somebody else getting your princess or prince and not treating them right, not loving them properly? No, you can't do that. Can't do that. Because once you know, you know. Once you see the glimpse of the kingdom that you're meant to rule, can't go back. Once you see that true love in Once Upon a Dream, Nothing else works. It's a lie. It's a lie you're telling yourself. Once Kit saw Ella, he knew that was the girl for him. And he didn't care that she was just a simple country girl. He took that honest country girl that loved him and he turned her into the most magnificent princess. And you can tell by the end of the movie just how amazing that kingdom is going to be. That they're ruling together and they truly love their people. They're not going to take that wealth and just use it on themselves. And that's the thing. If you go and marry just any spoiled princess or spoiled prince, they'll take all of your magic and they'll use it on themselves. Trust me on that one. Because I started to recognize if I have this ultimate treasure now, in this moment, without taking the steps to get out of a situation and heal myself, that treasure would have been squandered. And I could see it. I could see it happening. And for a long time, I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And now that treasure is all mine. So how can you make sure that that treasure is all yours to distribute the way you need it distributed? And when you bring in those people that are supporting you, they're not going to steal your treasure and put it in the wrong direction. Again, that comes down to the right support. But I think I'll save that for another video because, you know, the deeper I dive into my pillars, the more I find more magic and gold that I have still not completely unearthed everything. And I might never be able to unearth everything because, again, it takes the insight of the people around me when I share these things to get that, which is, again, why you need others around you because they can see the magic that you're not seeing in yourself and in your words. And then they can reflect that back to you. And then it's like, oh, I actually found a nugget of gold within this already golden thing that's like even like more valuable. And here, there's more. There's more to uncover. There's even more to uncover here. And then you can go deeper and be like, whoa, what have we discovered? Are you ready? You ready for your next level? Anyway, as I said, this is just me soapboxing and doing my thing. I don't do any real structure. Sometimes I do for practice. Other times this is just me freestyling. So right now, this week seems to be me freestyling. And if you did find some value in this, if you are loving this, I am going to be putting this on my YouTube channel. At the same time, I get a lot of ideas from my community and Thursdays are just awesome for the talks. So if you want to know more about what Donald Stojak and like his community, like what we're doing inside of our tribe every single week and want access to our private Facebook group, reach out to me and talk to me because like this is awesome stuff that we're doing. And if you're curious to know what's being discussed in the groups, then just go to his YouTube channel, Donald Stojak, ask the question. So go and Google that. Or if you're having any trouble, sometimes you're technologically like can't figure it out, or you just don't have time and you just want the link. Again, I did a talk last year on fear. I talked about the sword of truth and the shield, and I talked about the fairies. I put it in a very amusing acronym, and you can check that out. I'll put it later, or you can reach out to me. Preferably reach out to me because I get busy doing other things. So my love language is bug me. All right. I love you. And I'll talk to you later.